Now we've discussed everything about the mutual fund universe. We've understood different types of mutual fund, the factors that you should check before you invest in them, and when should you go and invest in those particular mutual funds. So we are sure you've gotten a better and a clear understanding of how mutual fund functions and how they will help you to achieve your goals and create wealth for you. So in this last session of this module, we will quickly revise as to what is a mutual fund and tell you the final steps that you need to take to invest your money in a mutual fund. So as we've discussed, mutual funds is where investors like you and me get together and go to a fund manager who's an expert at investing, and we give our money to the fund who invests our money into various financial securities. They buy and sell depending on the various market situations, and when they make returns out of that fund, that return is either added back to the fund in a growth option or they are paid out to us as dividends. And that is how a mutual fund works, which is basically a pass-through entity. It is an indirect way of investing for us investors, where we invest our money into various different asset classes indirectly through this pass-through entity. So once we've understood this and we've made a decision that, okay, I want to invest my money in a debt mutual fund or an equity mutual fund, let's go to the step-by-step process that happens until you actually make that investment and the things to do after you've also done that. So certain things that you should keep in mind before you make that purchase in mutual funds is that your mutual fund KYC is mandatory. So you must do your KYC with a mutual fund house or with Karvy or CAMS, and that would be your step one to make that mutual fund investment. Earlier you could do this statement using Aadhaar, but after the Supreme Court ruling, you cannot do this using the Aadhaar authentication. So now these mutual fund websites have a way of doing online KYC through video KYC. So you can just go to any of these mutual funds website and they will help you if you're investing directly. And if you're going through a regular medium, your advisor will help you to do that for you. Always submit your personal email ID and only one email ID across all your mutual fund investments. Ensure that you're not putting your office email IDs when you're making investments. You don't want in the future that you've quit your company and your statements are still getting bounced because of that. So your personal email ID should be used everywhere. And link all your investments to one bank account. Ensure that you have that dedicated investment bank account and your investments into mutual fund happens only from that. So once you have these pre-checks in place, the step one as to from where you start your mutual fund investments is from deciding whether you want to go for a direct route or a regular route. As we've discussed, that direct is where you invest on your own through online portals or registrars such as CAMS and Karvy, or even through stock exchanges. Or the regular investment option where you go to financial advisors or online advisory portals or robo-advisors who guide you to invest your money into a particular mutual fund. The difference between the two is the expense ratio, and in case of regular mutual funds, you're paying the higher expense ratio for the expertise and guidance. So please understand for yourself as to what is your understanding of mutual fund investments and then take the call. Once your regular and direct has been sorted, so then you have to decide as to which mutual fund plan you want to invest in. That is based on your goals and your need. We've discussed about it in brief in different mutual funds that we discussed in earlier sessions, and we're going to discuss about it in detail in module 3, where we'll tell you how much you need to invest in debt and equity based on your goals and your risk profile. So right now, once you have the mutual fund scheme in place, it's important to know what is the mutual fund type. Is it an open-ended scheme or a close-ended scheme? Generally, all your equity mutual funds are open-ended schemes, and close-ended scheme, your debt mutual fund FMP or fixed maturity plans are your closed-ended plans. So once that is sorted for you, you need to select which mutual fund option you have to go for. So the mutual fund option is growth, dividend payout and dividend reinvestment option. Where you want your corpus to grow, you would go for the growth option, because whatever gains are generated from the fund stays within the fund and the fund grows over a period of time. In dividend payout option, you get regular dividends paid out to you as a form of regular cash flows from the mutual fund. And dividend reinvestment plan is where the gains are converted into units and they increase your number of units. So somewhere the ultimate effect is similar in dividend reinvestment and growth option, but because of higher taxes that are applicable under dividend reinvestment plan, they kind of have become redundant over a period of time. So once your option is in place, your mutual fund type is in place, and you also know how you're going to invest in it, whether the direct or the regular route, your mutual fund name would look like HDFC Top 100 Mutual Fund, direct or regular. So you go for the direct one, and growth or dividend, and you selected the growth option. So once you have this entire thing in place, that you've selected your scheme, the next step is how you're going to invest your money in it. What is the mode of investment in a mutual fund? I'm sure you're very familiar with the term SIP. In fact, many people use SIP and mutual funds interchangeably to understand that SIPs are nothing but mutual funds. But SIP is a mode of investing in a mutual fund. So there are majorly two ways in which you can invest in a mutual fund: lump sum investment and an SIP investment. In lump sum investment, you invest your money in one go into the mutual fund. It's basically like making a one-time investment of 1 lakh rupee. Comparing it to our fixed deposits, where we make a FD of a lump sum amount of 1 lakh rupees. Whereas systematic investment plan or SIPs are regular investments made at regular intervals into the same mutual fund. So it is similar to your recurring deposit, where you're regularly investing your money into the mutual fund. So let's understand that Kabir, who wants to invest his money into the mutual fund, goes for the SIP, where he invests 1,000 rupees on 1st March 2019 and he gets 100 units. Then he invests 1,000 rupees again on 1st April 2019. Then the NAV was 11 rupees, so he gets less units, and then he again goes and invests in May 2019, and then depending on the NAV, then he gets certain number of units. So he is investing 1,000 rupees per month into this equity mutual fund, and that is how SIP works, where you're regularly investing your money into a particular fund, and over a period of time your fund corpus grows. So let's understand what are the steps to invest in a SIP. You need to select your scheme, which we've already discussed as to how you must do that. You need to define the amount that you want to invest periodically. This you will come to know from your savings number. Once you have your savings number, you need to decide how much you need to park aside in this particular scheme. Then you pick up the date. Ideally, pick the date of the starting of the month or the one which is closer to your income/salary date. So if you receive your salary by the 2nd of each month, try to keep your SIP by the 5th of the month, so you know you invest your money before you go and spend it. Set the frequency of your investment. Do you want to make that investment weekly, quarterly, annually, monthly? Generally, people go for monthly option because SIPs are done by salaried individuals and they invest their money monthly. And you must set the investment tenure for how long you want your SIP to run. Generally, your investment tenure would match with the gold tenures, which we are going to discuss in the next module. However, If you don't set the tenure, then your SIPs run by on its own. The system sets up your SIPs to run till 2099. You do have the option to pause or cancel your SIPs whenever you want. So it's not compulsory or mandatory. So a lot of times people think that by just doing SIPs are smart. Investing in SIPs lead to wealth creation. But very important thing to understand is that they are simply automated regular investments, which brings discipline to your investment and also ensures that you are investing your money consistently and regularly. And we've always discussed that the key to wealth creation is to be regular and consistent, and hence SIP helps you to create and compound your wealth. But let's understand what is the reason of doing that and how SIPs help you. So we've taken an example of HDFC Top 100 Mutual Fund Scheme, where you have an SIP of 10,000 rupees for the 9 months. So you see that your SIP starts in the month of February, where because the NAV was very high at 486.04, you got lesser units of 20.57 units. When in March the markets crashed, the NAV went down to 349.50 and you got higher units of 28.61. And so through April, May and June, you've got similar units, and as markets started moving up, the NAV of the fund started going down and the number of units that you've got has reduced, and in September you got 23.39 units. So let's understand the overall picture of your investments. You have gotten 198 units, and over the past 8 months you invested 80,000 rupees. So your entire value of your investment as on 30th September 2020 was 84,824. So you made an overall gain of 6% in spite of a 30% fall in March 2020. So while overall the returns has been good, it's 6% returns in 8 months. Now, had you gone and invested your money as a lump sum amount, what would have happened? Had you invested in February 2020, when the market was its highest, your 80,000 rupees would have gone down to 70,365. That is, you would have made a loss of 9%. Now, instead of Feb 2020, had you invested in March 2020, when the market had crashed and corrected by over 30%, your 80,000 rupees would have become 97,854 rupees on 30th September 2020. So your investments would have increased by 22% and you would be in a positive situation. But the most important thing to avoid this loss of 9% and to make this gain of 22% is to know that was the market at its peak in February and was the market at its lowest in March. Did you know this? Were you aware that Feb is at the peak and the March 2020 the market was its lowest? No, we cannot time the market. It is not possible for anyone to time the market and to know when the market are going to go up and when the markets are going to go down and where we are currently. And that is where SIP helps us, because we continue to invest our money into a particular fund through the SIP route, and it helps us to average your investments and make returns over a period of time without worrying about whether this time to invest your money in the market is good or bad. And that is how SIP helps you to create wealth. It also reduces your worry of continuously trying to understand what next. So SIPs are a great way of investing your money for salaried individuals who are regularly earning income each month and are also investing their money regularly. However, lump sum investment would be for someone who receives lump sum amount, or if you have any savings with you that you would want to put in a mutual fund, then you could go for a lump sum route. Generally, lump sum investment option is used for investing in debt funds which are more safer investment options and are less volatile. You could do lump sum investments in equity only when you have that understanding that the markets are attractive right now and it would be a good idea to invest at that particular valuations. Otherwise, going through the SIP route into equity mutual funds helps you also reduce the risk of sudden ups and downs because your SIPs are averaging your cost. Now, for business owners or freelancers who receive money erratically, STP is the way to invest your money in mutual funds. STP basically means systematic transfer plan, where you invest your money from a particular scheme of a mutual fund to another scheme. So you could transfer your money from, say, HDFC Liquid Mutual Fund to HDFC Top 100 Fund. So if you're a business owner and you've recently earned a lot of money from a particular project, you could take your surplus and park it into a liquid fund and run a STP into an equity fund for the next 10 months or 12 months or an X amount of time depending on the fund and your goals. So STP helps you to get the benefit of cost averaging of SIPs for people who receive erratic income. The next way of making the most of mutual funds is SWP, or also known as Systematic Withdrawal Plan. Under this option, you can withdraw systematically your money out of the mutual fund into your bank account. It is basically a reverse of a SIP. So SWP are useful for people who are retired and are looking for regular cash flows, or if you are in that break year and you've invested some money and you want to use that money efficiently for your break period, then you could go for the SWP route. In this option, say for instance you had 20 lakh rupees and you've invested that amount into a debt fund. Then from that debt fund, on an average at 8%, you would earn 1,60,000 rupees per year, and hence you could do an SIP of around 12,500 rupees per month into your mutual fund. So this is a rough calculation that you could do to get an idea as to how SWP works. So by now you've selected your mutual fund scheme, you've selected how you're going to invest, direct and regular, you've selected your option, you've also selected your mode of investment, that you're going to go for an SIP, STP or a lump sum investment, and you've gone and made your investment. After your investment is made, the next thing is to track your mutual fund investments. So whenever you make your mutual fund investments, you would get emails from the fund house confirming the transaction. So you would get an email when you initiate the transaction, you would get an email of the debit confirmation from your bank, and you would also get an email when the units are credited to you. And you would get monthly mutual fund statements from the mutual fund house stating the number of units you have and what is the value of your investment. You would also get monthly cash statement or consolidated account statement from your depository, whether it's CDSL or NSDL, which will give you details of all your investment holdings in mutual funds and equity. So you can see a mutual fund account statement on the screen. The first half consists of details of your equity shares and the second half have details of your mutual fund statements. Your mutual fund folio is nothing but it's like your bank account number. It would have your mutual fund units, cost per unit, total cost that you incurred, your value of the mutual fund as on the date of this statement, your unrealized gains, and what is the percentage return that you have gained as on date. So basically a mutual fund account statement is a great way to keep a track of your investment and the performance of your mutual funds. Just be sure that to get a clear picture on your mutual fund statements, you must use the same email ID across your mutual fund investments. The next way where you can suo motu go and keep a track of your mutual fund statement is you can download your statement reports from the CAMS website. by putting your email ID, and all the mutual fund investments linked to that particular email ID would get generated and a statement is emailed to you. You can basically go to the CAMS website, go to investor services, and under that go to CAMS plus fintech plus FTAML, and when you open that, you would see a screen where you can select whether you want a detailed statement and the period for which you want that statement, and put your email ID and a password, and a statement would be emailed to you within a few minutes. So why don't we just pause this video here and you actually go on the CAMS online website and do it for yourself right now and get this statement and have an understanding as to what are the mutual fund transactions you've done from day one till today. As I just said, that the way to get these mutual fund investment statement across all the mutual fund houses, you must use the same email ID everywhere. Only then you would get a true picture of your investments. So hold on to your CAMS statement, because in the last video we will tell you how you can make a summary of that, which will help you in understanding on how to set your goals and invest further, which we are going to discuss in module 3. From this entire discussion of investments, we are sure that the universe of mutual funds have been simplified for you, and now you can grab these concepts much faster. Few things to remember is that invest in your mutual funds based on your goals and tenure of your goals. Don't go on Google searching what is the best mutual fund. You must invest according to your risk-taking capacity and your goals, and not just based on the returns, because don't forget, high risk means high returns and low risk means low returns. So whenever you see exponentially high returns, you must be aware of the potential risk and invest accordingly. You could go for an SIP or a lump sum route depending upon how much money you have, what are your goals and your understanding of the funds. Go for lump sum into equity only when you have a better understanding of mutual funds. Otherwise, SIPs are a great way to slowly and consistently create wealth. And always check your mutual fund statements regularly using eCash statements or going through the CAMS portal. So while we wrap up the entire discussions on mutual funds, in the last video, Harsh will come and tell you what are the things you need to do while you wait for module 3 to go live for you. And in module 3, we will finally start the discussion on how to get investing.